into some poop. Hello. Anyone else that would want to get that would not have a very good stage. It was so fun. So I thought after seeing him on Steamboat, Steamboat had such an interesting dialogue. He was born in 1974. He came to Brazil when he was 6 months old. And then he moved to Spain, and he learned to kind of his first words in Spanish was really two. And then he moved to Canada when he was a bit older, and then he moved back to London, and then he moved back to America when he was a teenager. So this guy has been so he really is the biggest trailblazer. One of the biggest trailblazers so he did not graduate. He never did bad grades. He ended up becoming a clown. I think that he went to clown college to learn how to do tricks because he wanted to be a professional stunner. And so he would do stunts on his chin, where he would have a ladder on his chin or a chin or he would then light himself on fire. He would be killed balcony where he would be hanging in the car trying to keep balance and not fall off. Let's just say he's pretty classy, and not to mention the stuff I saw in the show before. I actually filmed like over 10 minutes of stuff that I was not meant to film before the security guard told me to turn off my phone. He probably doesn't realize how much this is because of this Steve-O show. I don't even know if I'm allowed to show anything. I feel like I should, but I don't know if I should at the same time. So, Steve-O has particular building and filming content, but I only found out that he wasn't film anything until later on after I actually showed the content. And the stuff I got was stuff of him stapling his balls to his legs, him, seeing John Maxwell deliberately trying to run over from the car. Steve-O showing his dick, or Steve-O and Weasel putting a naked chick on the table and lighting her on fire. There is so much footage that I probably shouldn't even have. And I'm like, I don't have to be careful in showing you this stuff. I feel like on the show, I'm worried that, whatever he brings here, I'm going to show you the he just like it always goes back to compliance. So you talk when big IP characters, small statements, you sound like you feel like you're scumming it's not like He also has a very funny story about how he started and how he when he was younger, he got fired from all his jobs, and because he wasn't really working, he was in a magic store, and he got fired just and he got fired from that. And then he worked at Chris Pratt in a restaurant for a second job and got fired because he was caught in the back of the workplace smoking marijuana out of the habit. Really funny, it was just funny jokes, funny stuff that he was like even Jack Black, he's fantastic. I'm trying to think of phrase putting an effort sound like Chris, do something. He was so bad that he didn't have that much money to get his sister out literally like you're going to get us going to the clan because this is something you can do. Basically try to find some 40 years reason for him to get fine, but and then he went to he ended up becoming one of the better clans in the thing, but he didn't end up getting a bachelor or whatever, so he didn't end up being able to go with the clans who got the bachelor or they're going to have a degree or whatever, so they could go on cruise ships and do clan jobs. Basically, it's funny because when he didn't get it, he said, I'm going to contact this guy who does it for the game. But it was a magazine called Big Thing where they were doing it, and the phrase is the guy who did it was is the director of it. And he's on a magazine called Big Thing. Not the TV show, a magazine called Big Thing. And amazingly, it's a front of other people who are involved in the magazine, but they're all from Dhaka. Pretty funny, give it a watch. And I love the bit, even Danger and Chris, David McWay, and that they were all involved working out doing the major job. It's like funny how this all came together because Steve-O just wanted to send in clips of him doing stunts so he could find something so he could get become a stunts but he didn't realise that they would actually film that and it was before they even knew what it was going to be. Jack up.
There's a scene in the film episode where there's a in between that time, they're in the car and say, help me, and just get picked up like that. They take like obviously 6 months to a year to keep going. It was right. It was a trap.
So he had to go back. He wanted to go back and do the clowning again, and he ended up just doing it professionally. And because he drank so much, and he was such a he just did everyone. All the crew said, if this guy keeps getting good benefits, we're all shitty, and because of that, he got fired. And what was amazing is that if he didn't lose that job, he would have got and the convenience of the show got picked up, and the rest is good in my opinion. So we get to see this man be who he is.
There really isn't that much zombie stuff in it,
and
it really
is the characters that he is about, and who does not give a crap what people think about him. He is a guy like, how people get insecure about who they are and what they are. I bet you the amount of people that say stuff about Steve that you can get for every time someone has a go and he's like, fuck, he likes the races, the amount of money he makes hurting himself and doing funny videos where he humiliates himself, but he gets applauded for it. This is what's so special about being someone like Steve.
I can't fault them. That's funny.
It's overall exactly the way they wanted it, exactly the way they envisioned it. He's a bit of a comedian, but he really talks about, he's more of a storyteller than a comedian in my opinion when he does his gigs. When he talks about his videos, he gets you prepared and ready for what he's done. He talks about all his shenanigans, about all the stuff like the stunts, the videos, so he gives you like a comedy story, and then he actually shows you the video of what he's talking about, so you don't just get the idea of it in your head from his storytelling, you visually get to see it on video, and that's why it's so unique.
cuts that red jacket.
And overall,
Shit.
if you see Steve-O and he's doing his bucket list tour, or if he's doing another tour around and he's near your country or near your town, and you're a Jackass Steve-O fan,
just came out of nowhere.
you should go see him.
Like, she's like, this guy's exciting.
It's a pretty good time.
I also
despite if you're a bit of a person who can't handle dicks, blood, vomit, shit, wee, you know, anything like that, maybe you shouldn't see it. But I bet you $100 you will anyway. So,
philanthropist.
And please, YouTube, the people who watch this video, thank you, but please
he was sitting there,
do me a favour and like this video, and also if you like my content, please subscribe.
She's like, you've been here, you know, like
I really appreciate it.
You can see he's a bit of a sleaze bag, and he hasn't got Crocodile Dundee saying, you know, you'd be able to eat something without killing it, you know, and he's literally sitting there talking in Italian, trying to be a smart ass, basically trying to make himself out to be better than him. And I love how he's just sitting there because he knows he's having a go at him, and he's looking at the menu because he can't read the menu, Paul Hogan, and he just goes, I don't know what you call it, but I like what that big fat Sheila's eating over there. And they turn their head, and then Crocodile Dundee just punches him in the face, and yeah, I was like, yeah, that's good, he deserved that. The comedy still works. I think it's a great Australian film. It's iconic, it's legendary, sexist, maybe a bit racist at times, but overall, I would say if you haven't seen this movie, you need to watch this movie. If you're an Australian, you're not Australian if you haven't seen this movie. It is not only an iconic film, it is also what put Australia on the map. It literally was the reason why more Americans came to Australia, because they were wondering where this Crocodile Dundee guy came about. Like, I would say half the reason why we see all these foreigners from Australia now is because of that film. People might disagree with me. I've got to tell you, he was big. Paul Hogan was big, especially with those tourism ads he did. When he did the shrimp on the Barbie ads. They actually, believe it or not, those ads are in the Smithsonian Museum in America, which is the biggest and best museum in the world. And that is something to not take for granted. But overall, this film, in my opinion, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Simply because I would have loved to have seen a more of an origin story of Mick Dundee. I would have liked to have seen how he was raised, where he came from, because there was a mention in the third Crocodile Dundee movie where, you know, they were having a conversation and he didn't know who Tom Cruise was, and the guy's like, he goes, Tom Cruise, what does he look like? He's like Tom Cruise. It's like, Jesus, Mick, were you born in a cave? He's like, yeah, how did you know that? He goes, never mind. And I would have loved to have seen an origin story about a woman giving birth to a baby in the cave, and then, you know, maybe a crocodile came up and attacked the mother, and Aborigines came up and saved the baby, and, you know, I would have liked to have seen something like that to kind of give an origin story of how the Aborigines raised him up and how they taught him the Aboriginal ways, of how he's able to, you know, be next to people and then he all of a sudden can disappear and you don't hear him. Just little things like that. But overall, this is one of the most iconic films, especially for an Australian movie. It's a good time. Give it a watch.
Yeah. To all y'all people who are subscribing to me, if you have a problem with me, say something to me. Don't comment on my shit, alright? Because people think I'm funny, alright?